Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching a new series of the show, my channel, which is Question and Answers. And in this series, I have my guests asking me questions about happiness. So, this is the first episode. And for this episode, Tammy has joined us. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. That's exciting, trying something new.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Okay, well, my name is Tammy. I have three grown children and I live in Florida and I'm an author, a speaker, a coach, and I saw your thing on happiness and I thought I just have to jump in because I deal with a lot of adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. And sometimes those people lose the joy in life. So I thought, what better way than to talk to a happiness expert?
Mm-hmm. Great. So let's get started and then see how it goes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you just the simplest, easiest thing I could possibly think to ask you is what does happiness mean to you?
Okay. So that's what I always like to talk and point out. And it's a great question because people have to understand that that is the main question. You always have to ask what it means to you instead of asking somebody else what it is and what happiness is. You have to ask what it means to me. So for me, happiness is my everyday life, the way I live, the way I think, and just enjoying everything what I do, being grateful for everything that I have, waking up with just looking around and seeing just simple things that I have that I'm able to do and everything like that. Just
Okay.
I don't need for me, I don't need happiness validation from outside. It's all from inside.
Fair
That's
enough. Now I do
Mhm.
have another question. So if you had to look at the words happiness and joy, is there a difference to you?
For me, there's not. There's a little bit, I use all those different words and I see some people separate them, but they all come together for, I get them all together as positive feeling. So happiness, joyfulness, positive emotions, bliss, all of them, they're the same. We can label them differently. We can make them a little bit different feelings, but base of it is all the same.
Okay. Sounds fair. Yeah, I always used to look like when I talk to people about happy, I always go like happy is getting to work and not having to do extra work. And you're like, "Oh, I'm happy." But joy to me has always been that like inner thing. So I guess you're using happiness and joy completely interchangeably, which is interesting. I like that. I
Hmm.
like that. So if you're just getting started, and like I said, my audience, I don't know your whole audience. I mean, everybody wants to be happy. So I'm assuming the entire world is your audience. My audience is a little more specific. So if you're struggling and just struggling with finding happiness, what would be your first tip? Like, where do you start?
You start with noticing little things that do make you happy. With little things, you notice little things on a daily basis. What made you happy today? Even if the happiness was just a little bit of feeling happy, and you start for noticing all those little things and add them up in your daily life. So you start seeing that if there is struggle with feeling happy, there is still happy things in your life, even if like small in the beginning, and then you start building from there to try to have more of those things in your life, daily life and every day as much as possible. And simple one thing that I always recommend is to smile. Like when you have hard moment, because this automatically wires your brain to have that positive emotion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I used to, I know someone that does laugh yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally like you start and it's this forced laugh, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't not be happy when you're forcing yourself to laugh, like a deep guttural belly laugh. You know, you have to be happy. That's just by default, that's what happens. So that's a
Yeah.
good tip. So just starting small, baby steps, and letting it all add up. Any other suggestions for somebody tangible that's listening that can just be like, besides finding the happy, what if they can't find a happy thing? Do they just make one up,
Yeah.
or what's your suggestion?
Because I know with your audience, which is people like grew up with negative thoughts from the family, that's they have to start changing those thoughts. And it's really hard in the beginning. It's really hard because their brain is used to thinking of those negative things. It just comes automatically. So that they have to start noticing those automatic thoughts. And whenever it comes, you don't have to just ignore it like, oh, it's not true and this, but you have to work it through, saying like, okay, it's not really true. It's something maybe the parents said or something like this, but it's hard for you to in the beginning to understand it's wrong. It's because if you grew up with those thoughts, they just base so strongly in your mind. So it takes time to change them and release them and let go. So you have to be okay with taking that time. So you can't be hard on yourself that it just doesn't happen overnight. Like, okay, the thought comes back and the next day you're having same negative thoughts. It's okay. You try again until like you finally start changing the way you're thinking.
So you would actually venture to say that becoming a happy person is a habit. It's just reframing things and just moving things around in your brain so that you can make the happy thoughts and just make it a habit. When you see something, you kind of look at it from a different point of view and try to find the positive in everything.
Not everything. Like I'm not saying that. That's one thing I say. Not everything because there's not positive in everything. Like some negative things in the world that are happening. Like there's nothing positive about it, but you find positive things inside and outside of your life. The things that are positive. Because there's things that are wrong, like something that somebody did wrong. Those are wrong things. And I always say as well that it's all those other emotions, we feel them too. Like
Oh yeah.
happy people are the same way. I'm not saying that happiness is the way I teach. Happiness is not that you only feel happiness all the time. You can be happy, but you're still gonna get angry. You're still gonna get sad sometimes if something sad happens, or even if something sad doesn't happen, sometimes we still feel sad. We're still feeling all those other emotions, scared. We're still feeling those other emotions, but that doesn't make you less happier person. It just makes you a human
Oh,
feeling those other
absolutely.
emotions. But you want your base feeling of like main feeling on daily life, and generally not maybe in some particular day you can't be happy for some reason, but you mean 90% of the time of the things you'll be able to be happy. But again, you happy, but you still feel that emotion of anger or sadness or fear. You process that feeling through, and then you're back to doing your normal things with happy feelings.
Okay. Well, that is very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So those were your questions.
Those are my questions. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. I liked it. So let's talk about now about your show as well and what you do.
So, as I kind of mentioned in the beginning, I deal with mostly adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. So, anybody really that grew up in an environment where it literally changed the lens and the way they look at the world. So, there is a lot of mindset work, a lot of happiness work, a lot of getting them back to just a centered place of what they were born as versus what the environment dictated to them. So we do a lot of rewiring and a lot of rewriting the past and reframing situations to get people to understand that the actual event really doesn't have any meaning. It was just a thing,
Mhm.
and letting go of some of that negative connections to certain events and things that happen. So it's always nice to hear another perspective on just a genuine, authentic inner joy. I mean, that's really what we really want. We want an inner, like you said, not looking from the outside, not hoping that our knight in shining armor is going to come and rescue us from sad
Mhm.
feelings. I mean, we are our own knight in shining armor. That's just
Exactly.
what it is. We have it all inside of us. It's just a matter of finding tips and tricks to access it. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had a question with the people who grow up with, you said, mostly alcoholic parents, right? So, what are the thoughts that they grow up with? So, when they becoming independent and everything, what are the thoughts that you see, that main thoughts that hold them back for just being themselves instead of being what they were raised with?
Well, a good starting point is that when you grow up in that kind of environment, first of all, you're not allowed to feel emotions. You're told that your emotions don't count and they don't matter. So if you're happy, you're told, stop laughing, it's not that funny. And you're just told you're taught to stifle everything a lot of times. So you don't, I remember the first time when I was 26 and I went to a therapist and they said, "How do you feel?" I didn't even know what that word meant.
Mm,
So to start to learn how to feel joy and happiness, it was all new to me.
mhm.
I knew what scared felt, but I kind of numbed myself out to the
Yeah.
point where I didn't feel anything. So, but people that grow up like that, there's a lot of unworthiness. A child, when mom abandons them for whatever reason, whether it's drinking, drugging, even if it's just having to work too much and they're just not home, the child doesn't understand the circumstances. The child
Mhm,
just feels like they're not lovable.
mhm,
So they grow up with a lot of feelings of unworthiness. Their voice is never heard. They're not validated. They think that, if they do something good, it might be the only time they get their parents' attention. So they feel like they have to be perfect at everything. And that their validation and their worthiness is based around their production of being perfect, being good, being the best, really just standing out in a positive way. And that's not, we all know that's not true. Perfectionism is a myth, but
mhm,
it's just years of being basically not even told that they're not important or that they're not loved, but shown.
mhm. And how did you start changing? How did you start becoming, having more of those positive emotions? Did you have to go through the negative ones first?
Oh, you absolutely have to. You have to come to terms with that. I did 6 years of self-study inner child work just to be able to, talk to my inner child, because that's what's damaged in you. It's your subconscious. It's all in the back. It's all, things that that developed because of how you felt. And you have to really start to, I just say, get in touch with that inner child, that inner you. And you have to walk through, it's a process. It's a process of being with people that are also going to build you up, because you've not ever been around that. It's a process of believing in yourself, and that could come from internal work, or it could come from also like group work, where people are helping you come to terms with those ideas. I did a lot of inner child work. I do a lot, did a lot of journaling, and I would write letters back and forth to myself, to the people that hurt me and to the people that didn't. I don't believe that you have to relive any horrible incident. I
Yeah.
think you just need to name it, frame it, sit with it, put it in its place, reframe it sometimes, and put a different perspective on what that was happening. Like as an adult, you can look back and go, wow, my mom, yes, she was a drug addict, yes, she was an abuser, but she was fighting her own demons. So
Mhm,
you can start to look at it like, okay, she didn't mean all those things she did to me. It had nothing to do with me. But you
mhm,
have to really look at those individual circumstances and put different meaning to them, so that you understand. As an adult, you can say, oh, my mom was, blackout drunk, all those things she said meant nothing.
mhm.
So, but it's
Yeah.
it's it's never easy, but at the same time, it takes work, but it's not difficult.
Mhm.
It's not difficult work. It's difficult emotionally to go through, but the actual steps are very simple steps. You just need to go through them. I don't, I guess I have a different saying on difficult versus tough. You know, like the
Mhm.
process of journaling is not difficult, but the emotional process of going through
Mhm.
it is that's difficult. So
Yeah.
you just, you know, you need to have someone that's going to give you a course, give you steps you can do on a weekly, daily basis, monthly basis, whatever it is, and then keep checking back in. And every day, if you're just moving forward just a little bit, there's always joy. I mean, we were all born joyful.
Mhm.
That's just the way I look. And so it's just a matter of accessing that.
Mhm. And also, what I say about what I teach about past is you have to leave it in a timeline when it happened, because the most important thing is to learn not to carry it with you. That's like you have to retrain your brain to carry that with you, what was before. And because I'm a happiness person, but I've been happy since I remember. Like, it's like I'm one of those naturally happy people, but that doesn't matter that everything always been perfect in my life. I've had so many different things happen in my life. Somebody would look and is like, how are you still happy? Well, because I don't carry that with me. I leave it where it happened, and as soon as possible, I leave it at a timeline. Okay, it was in 2020 or whatever, 1981. So that's where it stays. It's not in with me right now in 2023. So
Right.
that's
And
what
a
it
lot of that, but and that's good that people have a coach like you to help them do that. Because if I
Mhm.
just say to somebody off the streets, hey, that happened 7 years ago, leave it there, that means nothing to them.
Yep.
Because what happened, or if you know what means, if you were 5 and something happened to you, you're not thinking when you react, oh, this happened to me when I was 5. You're doing things from your subconscious mind. You're
Yep.
just acting on what is your belief system. And you're if you're you so you really have to change your belief system about what happened at that time, and then you can leave it there. But
Hmm.
you know, I can't just say, oh, it happened in 2020, I'm not going to think about it, or that
Oh.
happened then, so it, you know, so yeah, so that's why you need like someone like you to guide them through timeline therapy or timeline progression or whatever. You know, the
Mhm.
timeline activities are very good because
Yeah.
you can deal with each specific event or whatever and leave it in the past. And
Hmm.
but you need to walk through, like I said, you might need to go back to when you were 6 and something happened, and you might need to tell that person, you know, hey, you're safe now. This,
Hmm.
don't worry about that. That just was a thing, and it happened and it was bad, but you're safe now. We're here together to do this now in 2023. You know, you
Hmm.
and me. So
Yeah. And exactly, and that takes practice. It doesn't. I always say it's not going to happen overnight. Thankfully, why it's so easy for me is I started learning psychology. I started reading psychology books and everything since I was 16. So I already knew that information, like how to react and how to leave the timeline and everything, really early on. That's why it's easy for me now. But
right.
if
Oh,
somebody is starting it right now, they have to do it. It takes practice, practice, practice with everything. Changing any thoughts or any behavior, it takes practice.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. You also have a podcast as well, beside of what other things that you do. You have your own
Yeah, I
podcast.
have my podcast is actually called Adult Child of Dysfunction: Thriving After Chaos, and it's stories of people that went through things and found ways to get out on the other side. So it's stories of positivity and hope, and we just try to, you know, explain to people like my story is different than everybody else's story. And there's no good, better or bad when it comes to trauma. Whatever happened to you might consider it's like, oh, that's nothing, but if it happened to you, it's bad, and it's worthy to be dealt with and healed in a compassionate way. So I try to get different people's perspectives on, you know, the different things that happen to them, and that there's hope no matter what happened. There's hope for a positive future, a better life, and it takes I mean, there's 1,000 different ways you can heal your mind and and heal your body too, because I feel like they all go together, body, mind, and spirit. You can't
Yeah.
just fix one or align one because it just puts the other one out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of work with it as the whole body approach, and work on the body, the mind, and the spirit. Because if you're just
Mm-hmm.
fixing your body, let's say you have heartburn from stress, if you're just fixing your heartburn, then that underlying stress in your mind is going to now hurt your back or whatever it is, so they all have to be aligned together. So in doing my podcast, I get a lot of stories of hope and a lot of healers, a lot of people that work on different things. Some people work on the mind, some people do, somatic healing with the body and movement, and there's so many different things. And I don't think this kind of thing should be super expensive. I feel like we're in the age of information, and there's a lot of bad information out there, but there's a lot of good information. And I feel like people should be able to access it, have access to it, excuse me, without it costing them everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And I also say one thing as well, maybe somebody, if would have misunderstood some of the things, you don't just like leave it without like thinking of like, oh, it didn't happen or something like this. You process it and then you leave it. Like it's okay to have all those feelings like anger and all the things. You process those feelings and then you let it go, because people say like, oh, just deal with it, or just like forget it or something like this. No, that's not the way. That you process it, and then like when you're done with
absolutely.
all the things that bother you, you deal with them and then you let it go. But I also like how you said you have to work with mind, body, and everything together, because I always look at people who go to the gym and they work out, and then they kind of come out of the gym all stressed out and all like just anxious and all this. Is like, okay, so if that going to the gym makes you feel like that, why are you going? It's like you have to like make some kind of sense to it as well, that just working out is not gonna make that. It might make different changes in your life, but you still have to work out on your mind and stress levels as well.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
why I say body, mind, and spirit. It's all one. And you physically I mean, I just don't believe you even can separate the mind and the body. Any trauma, any sadness, anything that is not dealt with is held in your body. So people have so much focus on fixing the mind and what you think about things. But if you, like you said, if you don't go through and you don't deal, it's like wearing that backpack of trouble, and every piece of
Mhm.
trouble weighs 1,000 pounds, and you don't see it back there, but you're still carrying a backpack with thousands of pounds. So until you unpack each one, throw it away, deal with it, you're not helping your body. And your body will take, I mean, I'm 55 now, but when I was 18, I had bleeding ulcers, you
Mhm.
know? So it's like your body keeps it all in there. And so, like I said, fixing the mind is great. You got to do that, but you also have to fix the body. You have to understand how they go together. A lot of people, there's energy healers. I'm a big believer in everything is energy. So you have to bring the
Mhm.
positive energy. You have to, I do a lot of grounding meditations. I mean, just different things to just pull in everything. You got to pull it all together.
Mhm. Yeah. Really great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tammy. And all the we had such a good conversation, but I want to let the viewers know that all the contacts for Tammy are in the bottom as well in the description, and I'll show you website. This is your website as well. So everybody who wants to contact Tammy, their information is in description for all the other links that she does as well. So get in touch. It's a really great job that you're doing as well. Like I see a lot of those people, and that is in our society right now, all over the world, not just in America. All over the world, it is a big problem. So,
Absolutely.
so
Well,
but it's a big problem, but there's help.
Absolutely.
So everybody who has that kind of problems with how they were raised with maybe alcoholic parents or some type of dysfunctional family issues, you can reach out and you can find help and just start with small steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Do you have any ending thoughts as well?
No, I just want to, we're on here for happiness. We're on here to talk about happiness. And I just know that you are amazing. Whoever you are right here, right now, as you don't need to impress anybody. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody. You deserve all of the joy and happiness that life has to give you, and you have it all inside of you. So just find ways to access it, find people like you, and because we're all amazing. You're all amazing and you all deserve happiness. So,
Mm-hmm. And actually, I ask every guest, I ask the same two questions at the end. And it's kind of the first one is going to reverse your own first question. Like the way that you asked me, what makes me feel happy? So that's one of the questions I ask all my guests. So, what makes you feel happy? Tell me, what is happiness for you?
happiness is for me is just feeling no tension or stress in my body when I have any thought. So any thought that you have should not make you have that it's just emotional freedom to be able to think what you want, see things and not react, just to have a relaxed aura, I guess you're saying. That is what happiness means to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just being.
Mm-hmm. And name about three, four just simple everyday little things or activities or people or animals that make you feel happy feeling.
My dog,
Mm-hmm.
my children,
Mm-hmm.
the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and helping people.
Okay. See, like those little things, you have to pay attention on those little things. So thank you so much, Tammy, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mhm. And thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you apply all the advice to your life and we'll see you in the next episode. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.